Alright guys, the time has finally come to start putting down plastic and insulation. I'm super pumped about that. I got this re-leveled half of the house part. I put my string lines back up, added some gravel and some low spots since I've been doing a bunch of digging. I got some conduit in here going around the post because the difference between like a post frame house and a conventional stick frame house is these posts carry the weight, so you can't drill through them to run electric through them. So I ran some conduit around the post where I knew I would need it. So it goes around. I did that basically in all of these where I know I'm going to need to get from one outlet to the next without going all the way up into the attic and all the way back down. That'd be a waste of a lot of wire. I ran a couple circuits or conduit for circuits underneath the concrete, one to the island, one over here below these windows for the outlets and the porch. The rest of it, I'll easily be able to shoot down the joist to get it, but I'm going to start putting down plastic now on this half and my insulation, and then once I get this half done, then I'll re-level the other half and do that. So it'll probably take me quite a while. But we're just gonna plug away here. All right, once you get your plastic down, you want to put a piece up the side because you want to separate your slab from the outside. You want a barrier from your concrete slab to the outside atmosphere, because if your slab sat up against that green board, it would transfer any heat or cold through that board into the concrete slab. So you want separation. So what I do is I take a 4x8 sheet, I take a table saw, and I set it about 9.5 inches. That gives me 5 pieces, and then I just run it through there quick, and then I cut it to size. I just score it with a knife and then break it almost like drywall. So now that I got that in there, I can start putting up my my 4x8 sheets, just sliding them in there. The first few I'm gonna have to cut and notch around the posts. Once I get that done, it should go pretty quick. So that's what I'm gonna work on now. I'm just gonna get this out probably 2 layers deep. That'll get me out roughly to the second post. Gives me enough room to overlap my plastic once I get the next section leveled off, and I will just keep working our way towards the other side. It's going to get a lot more difficult because I got all the pipes and everything that I have to work around, which ends up being a real pain, but nothing you can do about it. You got to get insulation down. All right, the house part has all the insulation board down. So one thing that you have to think about is like around the pipes and stuff like that, instead of trying to get it perfect, just, you know, get it close, and then I just fill in. What I did is just filled in with gravel up to that level. This is going to be in the middle of the house, so you're not going to have much heat loss through there anyway. You got that plastic down below. But I got the insulation up the side. There's a barrier between the outside and inside, so the concrete will go up against that. And then these are where my internal posts are going to go. So there's 2 inches of gravel, compacted gravel, and then my footing that I poured, that I showed you guys. There'll be 5 of those. Been pretty fortunate to keep these pretty square.
What's that?
So we're pretty fortunate how square these have stayed.
Tui.
All right, this is a temporary, I guess, wall here that's going to hold my manifold for all my in-floor heat. I'll remove all this after the concrete's poured. It's just temporary so I can get them held in place so when I pour the concrete, they'll stay. Got my buddy Justin Meese here today. Gonna fire some staples for me, hopefully. So we'll see how this goes. So if you're going to do a PEX PEX in-floor heat system, and you want your manifold on a wall that doesn't exist yet, what I did is I got a piece of plywood, and then I laid boards across my trusses, figured out where my wall was, and then I built this temporary wall, and I took them all the way down to the floor, but where that bottom of that plywood is, that's going to be where the concrete comes to. So before they pour this, I'll cut these off, even with that, so they can pour the concrete right up to it. And then once it's all done, I can take all this down, and all my tubes will be supported in the concrete, because that stuff is going to want to naturally loop. So you're never going to be able to get it to stand up straight without supporting it somehow. So you screw it to this plywood, have them pour the concrete, and then you can take all this down and then build your actual wall. And I just got it braced up. I got angles going off both ways so it'll keep it from moving side to side. It won't move up and down, obviously, because it's attached to the trusses. It's going pretty good. So I have the zones. So that's all the garage. That'll be the garage zone. Then I'll leave a little space. That'll be my hunting room zone. And then I'll leave a little space. And then my bedroom, our master suite. There'll be a little space, and then it'll be the rest of the house. So that way I have plenty of room to mount all my my boiler, all the controls, everything for my in-floor heat system, and then it can just vent right out this wall. So the goal today is to get all the house finished up, which shouldn't be a problem. Really doesn't take that long when you have an extra person. My dad's coming today to run the stapler while I unroll the rolls. So should go pretty quick. It's going to be super windy today, but it's going to be sunny and 55, so should feel pretty good in here today. Alright guys, this is what I use to staple down my tubing, and it's a Malco PEX stapler. I think it does up to 3/4 inch, and it's got a little weight on it. I got it on I got it from Supply House. I think Menards carries this brand. And there was some average reviews, there were some good reviews, and honestly, besides getting a couple jams every once in a while when it would switch from banks of staples, they were really easy to clear. It worked awesome, and I've put down in-floor heat tubing in a couple different ways. I've used this with staples, and then the other way I've done it is I've laid out wire and then zip tied the tubing to the wire, and I'm telling you, that was way more time consuming and way more difficult to do the wire and zip ties. The stapler by far is way faster, way more efficient, it's easier, it's less steps, and I figured out what it would cost me to do the wire and zip ties versus this, and buying this, which I think it was 250 bucks, and then the staples, I think for a box of, I think it was 200, was like $25. Even buying this and all the staples I needed, it was still cheaper than buying wire and zip ties, and it saved me a ton of time. So if any of you guys are thinking about doing this, I would highly recommend buying yourself a tubing stapler. It'll save you a little money, and it will definitely save you a ton of time. And there's a lot of different ones out there, and for the money, this one works really, really well in my opinion. I had really good luck with it. You got to press down on the lever good, but as long as you do that and you keep the weight on there correctly, and you keep reloading staples so you don't let them get too low, it feeds them pretty darn good. So I'm definitely happy with this, and I'll keep it in my tool chest for the next project I do with in-floor heat tubing. So just wanted to share that with you guys if you're trying to figure out what to use. It definitely was worth the money. There are the banks of staples. You can get the staples for different thicknesses of insulation. I had 2-inch insulation, so I got 2.5-inch staples, and worked great. So I got all my in-floor heat tubing down. I got it all ran to where my manifold's gonna be. So I am pretty much ready for concrete. There's a few things little things I gotta do quickly. I wanna fill like the ends of these elbows with foam, just so a rock from the concrete can't get in there and over time wear a hole in one of those. So I'll do that. I'm gonna hook these all up to one hose and put pressure on it, so when they're pouring the concrete, if I keep 50 psi on there and for some reason a line gets broke or something, it'll start bubbling the concrete, and I'll keep some repair couplings on hand, and then I can fix it right away. I can just dig the concrete out, clean it off quick, put a coupling on it, and put it back down in there. So got to do that tomorrow, but other than that, it's ready for concrete. And the concrete guys said they got a job early next week. They got pushed back because of all this rain, but hopefully by the end of next week or the following week, they'll be pouring the concrete. So just going to finish up these last few things, get this all emptied out, and then I'm going to start putting up metal on the outside of the house, and hopefully in a couple weeks this will all be concrete, and I'll tell you what, that's going to feel awesome. So if you guys have any questions, if you're going to tackle this yourself on a project, similar project, and you have a question, I'd be happy to answer any questions. My garage spacing was 12 inches is what I did. I'm not trying to heat that up super hot. I just want to keep it at probably 40 degrees over the winter, just so it's comfortable, melts the snow and ice off the cars. And then in the house, I did 9-inch spacing, except for here when you kind of come in. I got a mud room over here, some cabinets, an island, and I'm about 12 to 13-inch spacing over here. The stairs go up here. There's going to be a closet under the stairs, so it wasn't as important to me to have it close together. But I think this is going to turn out real nice. I kept it away from my footings. As you can see, I went around those, and then around where I have 2 toilets on the main floor. I kept it away from where the toilets are going to be, you know, a good 12, 15 inches, just so it wouldn't affect the wax ring. I mean, I doubt I'm going to have the solution in there that hot, but I wanted to make sure that that wouldn't be a problem.